Yeah, I'll pre-manage Tim.
I'd like to first off by thanking the board for letting me speak today. My name is Philip Hedden, and I am a junior at Abbeville High School. I'm not a person who really likes speaking in front of crowds of any kind. In fact, I'm deathly afraid of it. However, I strongly believe this must be heard. In my years at Abbeville, I've noticed many shortcomings in regards to the safety and construction of the school. Windows have been known to fall out and be replaced with tape. There are load-bearing walls that were not designed to be load-bearing, and as a result, lean inwards. Pipes are constantly busting. I've only felt hot water on one hallway in the school, and our water is brown in parts of the building. Not only that, but many people have been affected by the mold that grows in the bathrooms, locker rooms, halls, and even classrooms. Both teachers and students have fallen ill due to the horrid conditions we're exposed to every day. If this was any other workplace, then most people would be up in arms demanding that it not only be fixed, but for a solution to prevent the problems from ever occurring again. However, this has been a problem for many years now. So why is it okay to send your kid to a building that you yourself would never dream of working in? Band-Aids have been used to fix bullet holes when it comes to Abbeville High. Nothing has completely fixed these problems, and nothing short of building a new school will fix it. A portion of the mission of the Abbeville County School District is to develop proficient, creative, self-motivated students by providing quality education opportunities in a safe and nurturing environment. Although it doesn't feel like that's what's happening. I shouldn't have to go to school every day and simply accept that I may or may not be at risk for infections, asthma. For myself, in school. Unsafe. School gives the appearance that we simply do not care and hold low standards. Abbeville's reputation among other schools is that we are poor and good at football, and our school does not dispute that. The students are the ones who go to the school for 7 hours a day. The teachers teach here all day too. And I can honestly say that almost everyone I've talked to has supported consolidation, even though most of us won't be here to see it happen. This high school is not a reason to come to Abbeville, but it should be. It should be a contestant against other schools around us, but it's not. And it's quite embarrassing, to be frank. No one wants to be the school that gets people sick just from sitting in a classroom. I know the price for a new school is high, but the teachers and students have more than paid for it by working and learning in an environment that I wouldn't put prisoners in. So I'll ask this: when is it too late to turn back and admit that mistakes were made? Is it when someone gets hospitalized from the mold? Is it when someone gets hit by a window that fell and gets severely injured? Is it when someone gets crushed by a wall that fell? And finally, is it worth putting my child at risk? One way or another, a new school will be built in Abbeville. It's just a matter of, will it be too late? Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, Jeff Lewis.
Thank you, board. Hard to follow up on that. Incredible. That's one of your students up here giving an awesome speech. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. My name is Jeff Lewis. I'm a resident here in Abbeville. It's my second time approaching the board, and I was trying to consider what topic I wanted to talk about because there's a lot of things going on. Chairman Tisdale, you mentioned putting the children first. That's what I want to talk about, putting the children first. And in my opinion, we understand that Abbeville is not the most wealthy county in the state. We struggle financially to support our schools. I've looked at your budget. It's amazing what you do with the budget that you have. We all know a new school needs to be built. I'm here today to argue or express my opinion why consolidation is the right approach. I'm not worried about a school building, where it's going to be, what it's going to look like. The reason we need to consolidate is for one reason: the children. Educationally, that should be our primary objective, to educate our children, okay? It's been proven. Dr. Fowler has come to you and expressed that if we consolidate the high school together, we can broaden our academic curriculum, right? I spoke with Ms. Bell earlier. She was telling me that if she could have a new career center, we could broaden the scope of the career center. She doesn't have room to add the trades. And trades are something, I work in industry, and I have customers come to me and say, do you know a good electrician? Do you know a good brick mason? Do you know a good pipe fitter? Good welder, right? Trades are important. So, in summary, the reason we need to consolidate has nothing to do with the building, has nothing to do with the community, has nothing to do with the Hornets, has nothing to do with the Flashes, has nothing to do with the Panthers or the A. It has to do with the children. And educating our children to the best standard equally. To where the students at Abbeville have the same curriculum available to them as the students at Dixie High School. That's not the case today. So there's an inequality already. Let's bring them together. We're better together. Now, bear with me. Not everybody in this room gets to speak. But I want to ask everybody in this room that agrees with me in principle to please stand. Thank you.
Adam Percival.
What about everybody out here? We're standing.
How y'all doing? So I have 4 children. The oldest is currently in her sophomore year at Abbeville High School. Right now, everybody on this board was elected here to put our children first. That's not what everybody just said. This is the water at Abbeville High School. All of you have clear water. Would anybody like to trade and drink what you forced my child to drink? I don't understand I'm not from here, so I don't understand the due west of Abbeville. I don't care. I don't care. What I care about is sending my child to school every day and know this is the best you could do for her? I don't think so. You say you want to put kids first. Do it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ellis Belton, graduated from Abbeville High School in 1993. I've never met a stranger. I've been coaching in the Abbeville Rec Department for over 20 years. I've coached kids from Due West, Calhoun Falls, everywhere. And I'm passionate about my family, my kids, and all the kids. I have a question that I know you guys probably couldn't answer today, and it is, I know did you all take an oath? And your oath should have been to do what's right for Abbeville County, not for Abbeville High School, not for Calhoun Falls High School, not for Dixie High School. It will be for Abbeville County. Now, 2 separate organizations have came to these facilities, and both organizations said that both facilities failed the state standard. Am I correct? I know you can't answer that. All right. Well, what I'm asking is what is the problem? What is the problem for a board member to decide whether to consolidate or whether to build a new high school? What is the problem if you are for the kids? That's why you were elected. That's exactly why you were elected, for the kids. So me as an African American, I'm having a hard time figuring out what the real issue is. And to me, talking to my child and looking at my child, sometimes, and then you start looking at the demographics, I start to wonder, what is the real reason? Is it because of her race?
Man. Jason Ashley, I think.
Yes, sir, that's right. Close enough. First off, I had to bring my notebook because I am not a public speaker, that's for sure. First off, I'd like to thank each of you. I spoke with just about all of you. I sent a mass email out to all of you on, I think it was Sunday or something, and I got responses from just about all of you. I talked in depth with probably 4 or 5 of you. Thank you. I appreciate your responses. Whether they were long or short, I still do appreciate you looking at your emails. Thank you very much. I'm a little bit different than everybody in here. I'm not pro Abbeville or Dixie, even though I graduated from Dixie. It's not the problem. The water This young lady's talking about the water at Abbeville. Diamond Hill had the same problem when y'all built that school many moons ago. Had to drink bottled water. Had to build a new line to get out there and even give them water. And I'm not even sure the water's fixed now. So it's not just like it's an Abbeville High School problem. It's a community-wide problem. Next. I know it's not an easy job for you all to sit here and let people poke, prod, carry on, and ask you questions. But I have a few that I sent out, and I just want to read a couple. It won't take but a second. Does twice the size really mean half the opportunity? If you take two schools and you put them together, some argue that you get better academics. I disagree. I think Abbeville and Dixie do pretty good on the standards of academics already. The teachers do a heck of a job teaching these kids. Academics is not the problem. The buildings are the problem. If you take the kids from Abbeville, keep these kids from Dixie that play on the football team, baseball, basketball, girls and boys, softball, volleyball. How many kids get the opportunity to play at two different schools? You combine them, what happens? Right down the middle. Half the kids get the opportunity to play sports anymore. I'm not against consolidation. I'm against taking opportunities away from all kids in the community. No matter where they're at, black or white, I don't care. It's opportunity. Next. How will the student outcomes, feelings of belonging, school culture be affected when the percentage of the students are unable to participate in extracurricular activities? It's just what I talked about. The next one is going to be example of riding the bus. What's the longest bus ride? And I guess this is a little bit on the outskirts of the county, but it's not due west. Talking Lounsville and other things. Have you all looked at what the longest bus ride would be for a consolidated school? I'm assuming, I don't know this because I don't know if you know this, where the school would be located if it is consolidated. I'm assuming it would be the center of the population, which would be Cold Spring area, somewhere toward Abbeville. So how long of a bus ride would it be for those children that would be?
Your time's up. We thank you. You only get 3 minutes. We've heard a lot about consolidation today, but consolidation is not on the agenda. We won't be making a decision tonight on consolidating these schools. Number one, we don't have the money. So we can't, if we voted, we can't build a school without money. So consolidation, we're not going to take a vote tonight, to my knowledge, based on what's on this agenda. We're not going to take a vote on consolidation.
Can you define community school then?
We cannot, I won't respond to you because a school board meeting is a public meeting, and it's held in the public, but it's not a public meeting, so I would rather not respond to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
would you please define combined community school? That term? Combined school?
I would assume combined school means bringing 2 schools together. But that's still not on the agenda. I don't see anywhere on the agenda that it says anything about consolidation. Let's move on. We're down to Jay.
Chairman, I make a motion we approve the August 5th workshop special call meeting minutes and the August 12th, 2019 special call board meeting minutes.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the July 23rd, 2019.
No, August the 5th and
Oh.
August the 12th.
Oh, yes, August the 5th and August the 12th. Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we approve August the 5th, 2018 workshop special call meeting, and also the August 12, 2019 special call board meeting. Any discussion on this item, is there any discussion of this motion? All those in favor of approving the August 5th, 2019 workshop special call meeting and the August 12th, 2019 special call board meeting, let it be known by raising your hand. Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay? Yeah. There's no discussion there? Okay. Okay, let's move on to L, discussion items, superintendent report, financial update.
In your package, you have your, June 30, if it's not final, we're still accruing our revenue. If there are any questions about these, I would be happy to try to answer those for you.
Go ahead.
I just have a comment. I confirmed with the superintendent the other day after reviewing that report. It looks like we'll be transferring, or have transferred about $1.7 million to the fund balance as of June 30th. So I just want to make a point of that for information for the board.
Thank you.
Also included in your packet is the information you requested about the operations of each school. Are there any questions on that report?
I have a question, more of a comment, similar to last meeting when we discussed the high school operational budgets. Just rough calculations, it looks like each school is in the order of around 85 to 90%, is salary and benefits. So out of the total cost for operational for any one school in the year, 85 to 90% of the cost of operating the school is in that range. Unless I'm reading it wrong, can I confirm that?
Any further?
Thank you.
All right, we're down to safety update. Lee?
Yes, you have in your board packet a safety update, and what I really want to highlight there, especially for our audience here tonight to hear, is the update on the SROs. There is a full-time SRO at Wright Middle, a full-time SRO at Abbeville High, a full-time SRO at Cherokee Trail, a full-time officer at Diamond Hill. Calhoun Falls Police Department supports John C. Calhoun Elementary, and we have an officer who currently serves as the SRO for both Long Cane and Westwood. Sheriff Watson has given us a report that we will have an SRO at each school as soon as he receives the funds, and he hopes that that will be in place by January of 2020. So that would put an officer at every school, and then John C. would be supported by Calhoun Falls Police Department.
I just want to commend the effort to have this done, and I do have a question. Are all of the funds for the SRO, is that paid by the county or by the sheriff's office?
No.
Budget? Or do we pay for some of it? How does that work?
I'm going to defer to Ms. Scott to give you the breakdown.
We actually, the sheriff's department pays for the one at Diamond Hill. The one at Abbeville High School and Wright Middle, and also at Dixie, we pay for. The district reimburses the sheriff's department for those, and then DeWest Police Department. I'm not sure if that one's, I think that's with the DeWest Police Department in Dixie. The others are paid through the State Department. Last year gave us money to pay for school resource officers, and they are giving us giving the sheriff's department funds to pay for the additional ones this year.
Does that come out of our operational budget, or is that something that's more of a pass through? that has to go through our checking account that we're funded for through the State Department?
The three that we pay for they come out of our operational budget. The rest are either, the sheriff's department pays for one with no grant money. The state provides the sheriff's department with the funds for the other.
I just comment that's a great consortium of folks and different entities working together to provide for safety. I think it's very impactful to see a deputy or an SRO that have one of these schools. I think it makes the parents appreciate it, and I certainly do, as a parent and a board member. Thank you to the sheriff, the county, all the towns and so forth that are involved in that effort.
Does the Career Center have an SRO? I mean, that's just a simple yes or no. Y'all can't.
I'll ask the question.
Okay.
I'll ask the question because I think the chairman already spoke about the audience. But does the Career Center have an SRO?
They're right across the street from the sheriff's department,
Sorry.
and they don't actually have one on
their
campus.
side?
Okay, we're down to C.
No, that's it on safety.
Okay, we're down to, C, right?
First,
Facilities, okay,
quick personnel update. We are thrilled to be able to report that all of our certified positions are filled. What I had shared with you earlier changed. We actually had paperwork completed, and you'll have that later on in the agenda, but we had two of our folks waiting on paperwork to finish who started as substitutes. So we are thrilled. There are a lot of districts around us who still have vacancies, so we're very glad that we have those filled. Facilities. We've received 10 statements of qualifications to the FRQ for the CN at risk, and a selection committee will convene to winnow this list of 10 down to, we hope, 5 or 6. We've extended an opportunity to the board to participate. We have given you a date in your packet of Monday the 26th. We'll be actually completing the matrix on Friday. If you are interested, let Ms. Mims know or me know tonight or tomorrow morning, and we will get information for you so we'll have copies. But we would love to have you join us if you are available.
okay. We're down to D. Master plan, capital improvement plan.
Yes. Mr. Dunn had asked to have this on the agenda at the last board meeting, so we have added this. This is something that he asked Dr. Hall for at the last meeting, was a master facilities plan and capital improvement plan, or an update on that. I put information in your packet where we, the memo from the committee that served to the selection committee to identify PPI as the person that we wanted to hire to conduct the master facilities planning and the capital improvement plan. That memo actually just kind of goes back and talks about the MEPA report, talks about the state report, and then that we engaged PPI, and the reason that we did that was because we were in need of a master facilities plan and a capital improvement program. So we know that right now, and the information in your packet, we still owe PPI $4,050. We've not paid them for that piece because we have not received that from them. They're waiting for us to tell them what it is that we are actually going to build in our building program or renovate, or whatever that decision is. And at that point, they will complete that and give that to us, and then we will work with them to develop a master facilities plan and a capital improvement program.
So they're basically waiting on us to make a decision.
Yes, sir.
So later on down the agenda, hopefully we will make a decision so that they will have the information they need. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to make a comment. I had something I'd like to read from pertaining to the item.
Okay.
I have a copy of it, I would like it recorded in the minutes verbatim. I'll provide a copy to Ms. Mills after the meeting. Dear fellow board members, we must regroup. Before we select options on the front end of a plan, we must consider the entire master plan for all facilities to be our starting point. Whether we all agree on key components or not, we must adopt a plan and move forward. There seems to have been two major considerations that are part of these discussions we have all had. That is number one, cost, and ability to pay for what we do, and student opportunity. Number two. When weighing in student opportunities against cost, what we do in changing the status quo must be explained legitimately, to the point where every board member and the public can clearly understand exactly what those opportunities could be and how they relate to the current configurations. However, if changing our composition to an extent comes at a cost and division among the county that cannot be supported by reasonable measure, we must move on. If cost is the most heavily weighted consideration, the board must look to that as the starting point as it relates to our real ability to finance such a burden paid by the property owners, and how that has serious implications on our local economy, which already struggles. Capital cost is proven to be greater than any consolidation or new or modernized description in the midst of options. My opinion is that we need to seriously consider facts and what will have the majority of the support in the county, whether you are a taxpayer, a parent, one with no children, a retiree, or an elderly person on a fixed income. Ultimately, we should put our thoughts towards the effects for all students in the county. We must seriously consider that we are a large rural county with a documented population decline, higher poverty rate, and what the future may withhold with respect to all of that. To pursue a single project that will likely be the most expensive construction projects ever taken on in this county seems contradictory to our mission and our common sense. The total assessed value of real property in the county is $59 million according to our most recent audit. We should not bite off more than we can chew at one time, but plan sensibly to lessen the amount of tax impact with the greatest flexibility and ability to control debt in the long run. Any bond we issue is ultimately a lien upon every piece of real property in the county. PPI presented several scenarios for master plans for us cost for each. Agree or disagree on how much particular items in PPI's estimates needed adjustment due to unknown variables at the time. There was only one scenario that was the most cost reasonable. I implore this board to adopt a cost reasonable master plan as a starting point which we can buy into, the public can buy into, and one that gives us flexibility. We should consider using the taxing authority we have as a board to implement such a plan and rely on the architects and contractors that are up for consideration tonight to help us achieve our goals within the ability that we have. We do have the ability to issue considerable amounts of capital project bonds each year, and I believe we may be forced to implement a plan that suits that ability, even if we need to do so alongside a smaller bond issue to jumpstart it. Yes, taxes will go up within our existing taxing authority, but it is something we can start now. And if and when we would need to quit borrowing for whatever reason, we have the ability to do so on a year-by-year basis. This beats obligating property owners to a 25-year bond for $50 to $100 million figures that we've been discussing as a one-time deal, when none of us can see what that means for our educational system or county in the future. Again, I understand the intent of the board is we need to do something now. We can do something now and gain support for it as long as we do what we say we're going to do. Regardless of some of our disadvantages of the county, we have a wonderful county in so many ways that blow folks out of the water in comparison. We have the best people, best students, best teachers, parents, grandparents that make up our respective communities. I would never live anywhere else. Let's sideline buzzwords like consolidate, new, and modernize, and find a commonplace agreement on cost reasonable phase renovations. In all options in discussion, a commonplace agreement seems to have been combining the Career Center with Abbeville High School's campus and bringing the middle school component to Dixie. If that is the case, then let's come together on these components as first steps. There is no reason we cannot meet on common goals. In conclusion, we should lean on reason and adopt a plan that starts with providing for common sense phase renovations at both high schools and John C. Calhoun Elementary, Let me be clear, I am not suggesting we try to renovate 1950 spaces, but to demolish those areas and rebuild in some way that we can afford. Solutions are available for this. We can even design the high school facilities for common goals with the ability to investigate alternates to add the Career Center to Abbeville High School, and ability to expand Dixie High School to be a combined high middle campus. Even if we don't do or can't afford those alternate components right now, we can plan improvements to allow for such later on. We can set this path in motion tonight and finally get off the ledge we've been staring down for so long now. Let's lead by example for our children and do something now that makes sense from not only an educational opportunity view, but from a realistic, cost-effective, and tax burden standpoint. Side of Abbeville High School. Number 2, Dixie High School, phased partial replacements and renovations, as is great invigoration with future potential to develop a combined middle high campus. 3, Career Center, lab renovations. 4, Wright Middle School, systemic repairs. 5, Cherokee Trail, systemic repairs. 6, Diamond Hill, systemic repairs. 7, John C. Calhoun Elementary School, phased partial replacements, renovations, and systemic repairs. Long Cane Elementary School, systemic repairs. Westwood Elementary School, new entrance and systemic repairs. And furthermore, this plan will be immediately provided to PPI for development of the capital improvement program. And furthermore, the Master's Facilities Plan and Capital Improvement Program will be reviewed annually by the board in the first quarter of each calendar year beginning in the year 2021. And furthermore, the administration is authorized to enter into an agreement with LS3B Architects to proceed with the design services up to and including conceptual schematic design phase services for the following list of projects contained within the Master's Facilities Plan made a part of this motion, and consideration of add alternates thereof, which are also made part of this motion. Number 1, phased partial replacements and renovations to Abbeville High School and Dixie High School, including an add alternate design for a combined middle high campus at Dixie High School, including an add alternate design to relocate the Career Center to the current Abbeville High School site. And number 2, phased partial replacements, renovations, and systemic repairs at John C. Calhoun Elementary. I was long. I have a copy if anybody needs it.
Okay. It's been moved and said that, you need to give me a copy or do we need to reread all this?
No.
Okay. All right.
I can email a copy if you want to.
All right. So it is moved and second that we move the direction based on what has been stated by Mr. Dunn. Okay, any discussion?
I want to be clear, that would be renovation of Abbeville High School on the current location.
Yes, sir.
And that would be new construction. Is that what the motion says?
This says phased partial replacements and renovations.
Dixie High School, that would be taking that wing over there and redo it to make it better.
The same motion, the same verbiage applies as the motion for Dixie High School. Phased partial replacements and renovations. Since we're discussing the intent of the motion is to allow for the architects and construction managers that we're talking about hiring tonight to bring back to us options that fit these parameters and cost associated with that, so that we may proceed with what everybody's really been interested in, and that's developing some cost.
Keith, well, can I just ask?
it's renovations, what if we came back with, what is the cost of doing both? Of building new schools, of building a new Abbeville High School and a new Dixon High
Well,
School?
I think we have to rely on the architect's input as to what they think they can do with that site. My thinking is, as I stated in the discussion information, I believe that this gives us the most flexibility as a board in terms of the cost. Because my opinion is when you're saying the word new, you're talking about complete demolition of the entire site, including all even newer facilities, which I think obviously is the most expensive thing you can do. Does that answer your question?
Well, maybe, and I guess maybe the architects can help us too, is like, if they come back and say, this is impossible, this is.
They
can't-
could.
Yeah,
They may.
and then whether or not, what are the costs, if we look at both of those as starting points of the master plan to say, hey, let's build, what is the cost of building two high schools?
And I think the architect will, they've given us a proposal at this point that kind of covers some rough costs. They haven't dug into it yet. They've probably done a lot of homework when they were presenting to the committee that hired them, or essentially recommending them to the board. Until they really get into it, it's gonna be hard for them to tell what they can do with the site. But I believe this gives us the most flexibility to design something that's reasonable. It could be that they come back and say something, you can't do anything.
Go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
I'm gonna try to clarify maybe just a little bit kind of the way I see this. What was given to us when we got here tonight, and I really wish Dr. Fowler, anything you're gonna have for us, we get prior to the meeting, because coming in here and trying to read this information and digest it, be prepared for it, that's difficult. Okay, so anything, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna ask you to share to direct the administration, any information we're gonna have provided prior to this time. Now, what you have is information for the options for architect design. And I think what you're saying is that's an option. The two options that are listed in what Dr. Fowler provided, you have option A, projects. New Abbeville County community-wide combined high school plus career technical education, 1,000 students, core population, single phase construction. Dixie High School conversion to a middle school with science, math, wing addition, 350 student population. John C. Calhoun phase renovation, 200 students. And then you move down to option B, which says new phase Abbeville High School on the existing site, 600 students, no career technology. Phase renovation of Dixie High School plus middle school wing addition, 400 high school students, and 280 middle school. Well, those are two options that are listed here. The action item says options for the architect to design. So we can give multiple options that we want the architect to prepare and bring back to us. And the architect can say, okay, this is what it'll cost to do option A. All right, it's one county-wide combined school and a new career center, this is what it's gonna cost you. If you want a new phase, Abbeville High School on this existing site, this is what it's gonna cost you. If you want to do phase renovations to your two high schools, this is what it'll cost you. So, there's different options that you can give the architect. Does that make it any more simple?
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's not what he's talking about with the capital plan. I guess.
Yeah, I want to be clear, and I don't want to, I'm trying to knock out a master plan adoption and a motion to move forward in one bill.
Mr. Chairman, I don't, that doesn't make,
Okay.
that doesn't, seem to make sense with the options that we have. I like the idea of having a master plan, because that's our whole intent, once we make a decision, but I would be careful that if you take renovation out of that, because we have learned that some properties were not completely renovated.
Where did we learn that?
That's from BPI.
When did they say that?
That's in one of their scenarios.
All of their scenarios included
But it was an option.
renovation, modernization, and
But it was an option.
So I would, they never said that nothing was unbudgeted. Never said.
Okay, let's, we want to, you know, unless we have it in front of us, so let's,
Yeah, I'll be happy to email it to Matt and he can display it.
Okay. All right, go on, Mr. Evans, and I think so.
I did like what Mr. Brooks read out, those options, that's more, you know, that made a little bit more sense, to instruct the architects, that's just my opinion.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because I wasn't here. But my understanding was that there's already been a vote for B. Is that not true?
No, sir.
That didn't happen in the spring of?
No, sir.
Okay.
There's never been a vote to build any high school, never.
Not a vote, but the idea was that it appeared that option B was what this board voted on a year ago last
We
week.
instructed the superintendent to hire an architect to come up with a quote on that cost. To get a cost estimate. For a new high school on Abbeville site, renovate Dixie. And then that motion was replaced with, the motion at the beginning on the front page of that information. So, yeah.
Okay.
So 4 options.
So
So there's nothing, what I'm asking is there's nothing to rescind.
No.
The vote is already set. Okay.
It's my understanding that April motion trumped the May motion.
So if I understand y'all correctly now, we need to vote on Mr. Dunn's motion. And then we go from there, okay? That's my understanding. All right.
You have a motion, you got to vote.
Well, okay, all those in favor of Mr. Dunn's motion, you all understand it? Let it be known by raising your hand. All those, motion did not pass.
No, you have to.
Okay. All those, see how I'm phrasing that, all those oppose Mr. Dunn's motion, let it be known by raising your hand. Okay. Now, we're at the same spot, so we need to move.
The only thing that upsets me about this whole thing, we've been having these discussions for, let me go back. We've been having these discussions since 2017. It's been over 2 years, we've been discussing this right here. And this board has still not come up with some kind of plan that we can put some numbers to put before the taxpayers of this county to vote. And I tell you what, it shouldn't have taken us this long, and we still are no closer to knowing what we're gonna do than we did 2 years ago. Not
Can we get another motion for doing something?
All right, I'll say the board authorize LLS 3B to prepare preliminary schematic plot designs on projects listed as the following 2 projects. Option A new phased Abbeville High School on the existing site with a new career center on site. A phased renovation of Dixie High School, including a middle school wing addition, and a phased renovation of John C. Calhoun Elementary School. Option B, a new Abbeville County Combined High School and Career Center location on as close to the center of the county as possible. A conversion of Dixie High School to a middle school with a science/math wing addition, and phased renovations to John C. Calhoun Elementary School. This is to include total pricing and estimated timeline to completion.
That's it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Do we need, Mr. Lowe, to go over all what you said, so you understand?
I got a question.
Okay, so we need to move on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We need to move on, it's been second.
Okay.
I'm asking, my question was, do I need to restate all of it?
Not for me.
Okay, then, any discussion of Mr. Rowe's motion?
Are you saying for this proposal to have the architect design option A and B?
Yes. So that way we can get a true number, and we give the county and all the residents a true number of what both would cost. And then the county, if it wants to, we can let them vote on A or B, whichever route they wanna go, and let them decide what we wanna build as a school.
So, let me ask a question similar to Mark.
Yes, amen.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question similar to what Mr. Peter was asking. What do these combination of options have to do with what the board voted on in anyway on April 2nd? My motion didn't fit that gap, and how does this fit that gap? Because we never had seen this before until we received the architectural proposal. And it's a mix and match. I mean, all sorts of different combinations. I just don't.
Mr. Chairman, not to go along with Kevin, not Keith, excuse me, is that we've been talking for the last 4 years about getting cost, true cost. And so we're now at the point we've got the architects, because we were told that we needed architects to get a true cost. So now we have architects, and we need to give them that duty to get those costs. Then the decision can be made on what's the best scenario of what, for a fiscal responsible thing to do. So I think the motion that Mr. Rhodes had said gives everybody a big picture.
I was asked if you will rescind your second. I need to change the word in it.
I'll rescind. Why don't you amend that? You can amend it by changing the
Would you
word.
rather me amend it then?
That'd be better.
All right, amendment would be option B only, instead of saying a new Abbeville County combined high school to a new Abbeville County consolidated high school. I don't see the difference.
Okay, is the move and second, you gotta read this again, read it out.
I move that the board authorize LS3P, which was already hired, to prepare preliminary schematic designs of the project.
Hold on. I just want this amendment portion, that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Amend option B to say a new Abbeville County consolidated school instead of a new Abbeville County combined high school.
Okay, any discussion of this amendment? You want to second? Okay. Okay, any discussion of this amendment?
Yes.
All right.
I think it's the same thing that Mr. Evans said. We beat around the bush long enough doing studies after studies. And every last one of them has come back. They may be singing the same song in a different key, but it's the same song. And I'm sick and tired of watching the kids go to school and I'm not Abbeville County. I don't get the Dixie, the Panther thing. That's beyond me. I want what's best for the kids. Okay? Played the silly game long enough, going back and forth, and we know what the problem is. We know what it is. Okay? Now, here's what I want to happen. We as a board, let the architects, we may be trying to renovate a school that can't be renovated. There is a certain law called OFS, School of Office and Facilities. If you upgrade part of the school, guess what? You got to bring the whole damn thing up. And that may cost you more. So watch this. If the taxpayers are concerned about the money, how are we ever going to know what it's going to cost if we don't let them do their job? We hired an architect. Let them do their job. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Rose' amendment, let it be known by raising your hand. All those, say what?
It's just the amendment.
Just amendment. Just amendment. That's what I, okay. Now, what we're gonna vote on. What we're going to vote on is the amended motion. So, Mr. Rose, would you state the amended motion so that I can
motion?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Okay, here we go one more time. I move the board authorize LS3P to prepare preliminary schematic designs of the projects listed as the following two projects. Option A, a new phased Abbeville High School on the existing site with a new career center on site. A phased renovation of Dixie High School, including a middle school wing addition, and a phased renovation of John C. Calhoun Elementary School. Option B is a new Abbeville County Consolidated High School career center and location as close to the center of the county as possible. A conversion of Dixie High School to a middle school with a science/math wing addition, and a phased renovation to John C. Calhoun Elementary School. This is to include total pricing and estimated timeline to complete.
Okay, all of you,
Discussion.
That's what's been seconded
it's
already.
been seconded, okay, now, but, I was going, how to get there, but go ahead. You
Now,
first, Mr.
my question to the motion is this gonna be two questions on the ballot that we send out? Or we just gonna come back and look at it?
Look at
again?
what they give us, and
What they
then we
give
can
us.
decide what we want to do with it.
And then we go from there to
Right.
decide.
This is just to give them the permission or our permission to draw both of these options and bring it back to the board, and then we can look, say, okay, can we do this?
We're not gonna. All right, then, Mr. Dunn?
Question, I stated this earlier, we know about what the cost is gonna be. We've seen numbers, like Mr. Adger said, we've seen it. In all the scenarios that have been presented. And I've heard, I'm not gonna call names, but most board members in here said cost is the determining factor. Some have said, we gotta get a board one time, and one time we're gonna get one shot. You know, my theory is if you do what you say you're gonna do, you'll find the vote of trust. The scenarios that were presented by PPI, they weren't perfect. They had issues. But they were consistent. You know, except for consolidated high school option, because obviously we didn't know where that piece of property may lead. But the most cost-effective plan for a long haul was PPI scenario 1A, which is a pretty good reflection of what I read off to you earlier in terms of a long-term master plan. If you're not concerned about that, then you don't need to be concerned about what the cost is, because what I'm reading this, the fees that we have from the architectural proposal associated with option A and option B are going to be about the same. So for pre-design services, before we get to any bond referendum, we understand that we're combining these two fees from option A and option B, so it's over $500,000 or so just for that. And then if I understand it correctly, the construction manager at risk is going to help the architect develop the cost, and that's about $150,000. So I don't know if that'll work or not, but so we're going to spend probably nearly $1 million just to get some cost estimates when we already know essentially which is the most cost effective. Which is the most cost effective. So my question again, is the cost effectiveness of what we're looking at in terms of a capital project important or not? That's what we need to decide.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Dunn, with all due respect, we got the numbers back.
Let's address me.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, we got the numbers back. Most of us didn't have a problem with the numbers. The reason we're here now is because we didn't think those numbers were correct. So at some point, you've got to allow the qualified people. And if it requires us to spend more money to get the true numbers, because that's what everybody said was, before we go to the public, these numbers have to be right. If we don't ask, how are we ever going to know? Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
At the start of this, you said, we're not talking about consolidation tonight.
No.
You said we can't consolidate, but we can't afford consolidation.
I said we didn't have the money.
We don't have, you know.
We don't have.
Change the verdict.
All right, well, we could, all those in favor of Mr. Rowe's motion, let it be known by raising your hand. All those opposed to Mr. Rowe's motion? Okay, the motion carried. Let's move on to,
Mr. Brooks, and you will have that information in this transition period. I uncovered this today, and this was information that in doing my homework, I was told you all were given an executive session, so I didn't think it was new. I thought it would be helpful as information to have before you. So I have invited LS3P to come. We have had the conversation about doing an addition to an option, and at an hourly rate. You all can cap that at any point if that's the case. So LS3P, if you've listened to the conversation and with the chair's permission to hear from them.
Good evening. Thank y'all for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you for all the discussion that you've had. I'm Mary Beth Branham with LS3P, and this is
I'm Scott Megg with LS3P.
So what I would say is that you've gone to a lot of detail to discuss what our options are. We put those options in buckets of A and B simply because we were asked to put them in 2 buckets. As far as I'm concerned, it could be all 5 options as opposed to option A and option B. So it's semantics at this moment in terms of how you would like us to analyze the information of the different options that are all on the table at this moment. So we're happy to look at, one of the things that I said even as we were interviewing is that we don't want to spend any more money of the districts until you know what you want to do, because we want that money to go towards your schools. We try to get the fee as low as possible to do as thorough and as detailed an assessment. Even though you've done some great work and you have great information, it was kind of at a high level, as we all know. And so to be able to stand behind the numbers that I know you want to go to present to your community, we felt like we need to get to some level of great detail along with our ACM at risk to be sure that we are confident in the numbers that we can present to you. So what we offered to Dr. Fowler was that we could come up with, instead of this being a flat fee, we could say it's an hourly not to exceed, and try to, if we're going to come to you for an intermediate vote to say, here are the 5 options on the table, and we'd like to make a decision which way we'd like to go with the bond, then we'll try to get as much detail as possible without expending as much fee as possible in order to help you out. So know that we're very willing to come to the table and help you with that. We based our fee on what we were asked to do, which is some percentage of schematic design. And we felt that this would not be a full schematic design. We don't feel like we should be doing a full schematic design package until you're ready to do that on the specific projects that you're ready to do. Did that help?
That makes sense. Any questions of the representatives? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Down to option or CMS is RFP. Do we need help on
Mr. Wallace here. Dr. Fowler contacted me shortly after Dr. Hall passed away, and we discussed the issue of whether or not we really needed board action on the cost reimbursable format of project delivery that I had recommended during the workshop. And I don't think we had gotten that. So we wanted to come back, and I had written a letter, and I don't know if Dr. Fowler she has shared that, outlining the reasons for why I was behind the idea of a cost reimbursable guaranteed maximum price delivery program. It gives you more control over cost and scope, and also discounts back to the district. So I had made those recommendations known in the letter, and I stand by those recommendations, and so just wanted board action on authorization to proceed on the RFP for CM at risk based on a cost reimbursable format.
So we just need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the
It has been moved and second that we allow Mr. Walls to proceed with the RFP using the cost at risk.
Cost reimbursement.
Cost reimbursement,
With a guaranteed maximum price.
with a guaranteed maximum price. Any discussion of this motion?
Does have a question for Mr. Walls.
Yes, sir.
You had mentioned in your letter that we should probably budget around $150,000 or so for the season's risk. With what you heard tonight, does that figure probably inflate some to look at more of these options, or is it going to be in that area? I know that's not your opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
it's been my experience really that contractors on the front end work very collaboratively and very inexpensively. So I don't think it'll be.
Probably
I don't think so.
inflate a whole lot.
I don't think so. It'll be in that vicinity, I'd say.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of allowing Mr. Walls to continue with the CMS risk cost?
Cost reimbursement, guaranteed maximum price.
With what?
Guaranteed
With
maximum.
guaranteed maximum price, let it be known by raising your hand. Those opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Personnel? You got personnel? Personnel,
Yes, sir. The administration recommends the approval of the following: 2 induction contracts and 1 continuing contract. As noted in your original board packet, you only had 2. You added 1 induction and 1 continuing, and this has been updated. We are bringing 3 contracts before you tonight.
Motion to accept administration's recommendations on personnel. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the administration recommendation on personnel. In discussion of this motion, all those in favor of approving the administration recommendation on personnel, let it be known by raising your hand. Those opposed, motion carried. We have completed the business development. Hey, what?
It was just for information. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Motion we adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting and discussion of this motion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your hand. Those opposed,